Well, hello everyone. This is Mickey Boy's track talk. Mickey Boy's lap guide. Mickey Boy's setup guide. One day, not today. There's a good reason why it's not going to be today. And basic tutorial on how to get around this track. I didn't vote for this track. Whoever voted for this track needs to be shot. Nah, not shot. That's probably taking it a bit too far. But mate, this place is a nightmare. I'm not talking about the racing. I'm not talking about the anything like that. I'm just talking about the actual track and how you have to get the Lotus 49 round it. I'm joking. You know, I'm all for all different tracks and I actually quite like it. So I wouldn't shoot who voted for it. In fact, I might have done it myself. I don't know. Anyway, I'm babbling. Good points about this track. Really, really insanely high grip. Is that a good point? I don't know. It's probably not. It feels exactly the same as in Lagos in overcast conditions when this is in default weather. So that's how much grip there is there. It's a huge amount of grip. What does that mean? That means we're probably going to be running lower power ramps. I'd definitely stay away from dropping your brake bias down because you've got to brake and turn at the same time in a lot of places on this track. So I think I'm running 56.5 from last week in Lagos. I'm probably going to stay there and maybe even going to 57. I'm not sure. Don't know yet. But this is the sort of track where I normally set the car up to just be as easy as I can get it to drive. With the exception of the power ramp. In Lagos last week, I was trying to set up as loose as I could set it up, just so I could be fast in the kink. And it's the same as Watkins Glen. I normally set up to be fast in the S's up the hill. I normally find that if I just set up for one corner to be, you know, pretty good in one corner, I'm normally pretty good around the whole track for some reason. I'll have to try that at Spa. Or just use my shell set. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, bumps. Bumps, corners, acceleration zones from corners, acceleration zones while you're in corners, blind crests, trail braking through fast corners. Really easy to overdrive some corners because they go into another corner straight away afterwards, so you normally have to sacrifice the first corner to know that you're going to get a good exit on the next one. Wheel spin down the straight in 5th gear sometimes. Expect that in a really hot session late on in the race. It's tough. It's really tough. It's so tough to get on power out of these slow corners, especially turn 1, all the way down the straight, turn right into turn 1, up through 2nd, 3rd and 4th. I don't think I can hit full power until I get to 4th gear, and if I can, it's because I short shifted, and I hate short shifting. I never want to short shift the car ever. There's a couple of places I do it here. Just because I'm in the middle of a corner and it seems better to come out the higher gear, go into the corner in 2nd gear, change up to 3rd gear on the apex. It doesn't really matter. When you've got this much grip at a track, you can get away with murder with, you know, trying to get the car fast around the track. You know, a lot of the times you can't do it when there's no grip because it just upsets the car so much. But here, I mean, you can even You can even do a massive slide, you know, 90-degree slide, and if you're lucky enough to save it, you'll just carry on. You really don't overheat the tyres. So let's go for a couple of laps. I'll go for a slow one, and you'll get an idea. When I speed up, you'll get an idea what I'm talking about. Well, just going for the old teacup on the bottom again. Right. So I'm not 100% sure where the start-finish line is. I think it's back behind me now. Oh no, maybe there. Well, that's the finishing line, I think, anyway. That might be the start line. So if it is, again, like I said at Road America, just measure your measure where your brake point's going to be to the first corner on the first lap. I think normally it's around here at racing speed, miles before those cones. When you're on your first lap, I don't know, it could be there, I don't know, it could be by those 4 cones or whatever, but it's always good it's always good if everyone's done it, because then that's how you avoid these accidents where people just slide into other people, because sometimes people have done it, you know, people have done their homework and worked out that you can brake as late as this, and you know, the guy in front of him hasn't. So, you know, you who have done your homework, okay, it's great to do your homework, but don't rely that the guy in front did. You know, he might slam his brakes on before, you know, where he normally does at racing speed. So that's why I always say to people when they're just starting out, just stagger yourself when you're on the start. Tell you what, it's a good idea to talk that through as I come down here, because this is going to be a pretty scary stop for the start of the race. So what I mean by stagger yourself at the start is, let's say for argument's sake, I'm behind a car here and I'm about half a car length away. The last thing I want to do is stay in that position when we get to the braking zone, especially if it's someone I don't know, because I don't know when they're going to brake, I don't know how hard they're going to brake, I've got no idea. So this is your racing line, obviously, you know, and it's obviously the best way to get into the corner. But if I'm half a car length behind somebody, even people I know, even, you know, just because I don't know what's going to happen, if there's room, I'll put my car there instead. So I'm still half a car length behind the car, so he's obviously in front of me, if you can imagine that. But in the braking zone, I'll put my car here. So if he does slam his brakes on miles too early, or if he puts a back wheel on the grass, or if someone in front of him slams on the brakes too early, which forces him to do it, I ain't going to crash into him. It's just so simple to do. Just create some space for yourself. You know, and someone can still go down the inside there if they need to. You know, the other guy that's behind me can stagger himself to be not lined up with me, but lined up on the racing line again, the same line as the car in front of me, which is on the racing line, because he's got about 3 car lengths to play with. So never follow a car into a braking zone on the first laps. But you know, if you're in the front, if you're in front and you know you've got like a car ahead of you and you know a few cars behind, you're normally all right, you know, because you're not going to really run into much trouble. But if you're, you know, 10th or 11th, the last thing you want to do is be right on someone's gearbox as they slam the brakes down into turn 1. You know, if you've got nothing beside you, doesn't matter if you're inside or outside, doesn't matter where. Just get off the guy's arse in front, because that's how these turn 1 accidents always happen. Anyway, just as I'm going around poodling along at one-handed speed, just have a look at the front suspension and look how much movement there is in the track. there's so many bumps here. Little crests, look here, where the car's going to go light, because you're still on power there, I think. I must admit, I haven't done too many laps here, but I've done enough to sort of know where the racing line is now. But like I say, there's just so much grip here, and so many bumps, and there's so many points of track where the engine's up, you know, around the business end, you know, 9,000 RPM, and it's going over a slight hill, like here. You know, this is right on the 4th gear change. You know, the last thing you want to do is have the car light on you when it's got 400 horsepower and concrete tyres going over a crest. Even down the straight, you can see how bumpy the straight is. And you can already hear the engine going up and down because the rear wheels are going. And there's more bumps on this exit. Then you got a gear change right on that little crest. Then you got a really hard braking zone because it's so easy to hit that grass, which I've been doing all evening. This is a blind crest, which is sort of straight line, but you want to trail brake through the whole of this turn. You don't want to be going too fast through there because you'll miss the entry to this turn. It's not that important, it is really, but it's not that important if you do miss it because there's only a tiny little straight between that one and this right hand turn. Stick to the right hand side all the way around here and short shift up to 3rd. Try not to run too fast into this one because you'll mess the entry to this one up. You can see where my 4th gear changes right on that crest there, so the car's going to get light. So I'm going to try some at racing speed there. So a little bit, the wheels spinning down the straight. And this is where the fun begins. Yeah. Straight into a tree. And what I've done there is I've forgot to change my diff settings back because I did a little diff settings video, no, anti-roll bar setting video, which I'm not going to show because it didn't really work here because there is so much grip at this track, so I'm just going to change that back and then run some more laps. Basically what I did was I took the front roll bar off just to show what happens when you do something like that, just to show what that setting does, and it didn't really show up anything until you got a massive slide on. So now I'll be able to show you properly what this track's like. Bear in mind, this is, like I say, this is default weather, so 107 degree track, and it's just got so much grip. You can see how pointy the car is. Just, you know, compare it to last week at Interlagos, you know, where the car was all flowing and slidey and bit your arse off if you put too much power down. I mean, if this track was smooth with no bumps, you'd just be pointing and squirting the thing all around the track. You know, you wouldn't have to worry about feeding the throttle wheel anywhere. But the reason I say it's probably a bad thing that it's got so much grip is because when the rear gets light, it just goes. And you'll see what I'm talking about out of turn 1. they make it. That's really tough. And that's with new tyres, you know, I've only done a lap. Yeah, trail brake through the whole of this turn. Down to second. Up on that curb, doesn't matter about the curbs. That one's alright as well. Don't go too fast now because you want to stay to the right for this turn, which lines you up nice for that one, and you have to watch your full gear change. I wouldn't run on the outside of that part there really. I don't think it's fast if you do it, and I don't think there's much grip out there either. Here we go for this roller coaster. Turning and accelerating in 2018 season 4 is probably the hardest thing I've ever tried to do in a sim. In fact, I'd go as far as to say it feels almost as tricky to drive as the R Factor 2 car. The R Factor 2 Formula cars coming out of that turn. It doesn't really matter if you miss the apex on the entry, because you can just put your foot on the brake and it just pulls the car in, and that's, you know, again, it's just because there's so much grip. But even if I miss this apex by a mile, you can just still turn in and it turns in. So that turn 1 exit's got a little bit easier now the tyres are warmed up, but I'll tell you what, when it comes to about lap 18, lap 19, and you've got someone right behind you trying to get in front, that's going to be tough. And God knows what it's going to be like if someone gets a run on you and you're too wide through there. Pray to every god I've heard of that doesn't happen. Unless I'm the one behind. Well, yeah, there is a bit of grip out there on that exit. Let's see what it's like if we short shift out of this now. I hate short shift in this car. But, and that's the thing, it's not wheel spinning because there's lack of grip. It's just wheel spinning because the car's just jumping up and down everywhere. That curb's fine. About half, well, more than half throttle there, but nowhere near full throttle. Sacrifice that one for this one. Sacrifice this one as well. Miss the apex. That's good. Ooh, 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 ooh. I'm still in the game. I'm still in the game. There we go. That's what I'm talking about when you change up to full flight on that crest. And what have I done? About 3 laps now? 4 laps? So my tyres are still good. I think they're probably just starting to overheat a little bit. in general, you know, not because I've lost the rear end. I've just got that feeling now where they lose a bit of grip after the initial grip at the start of the race. Yeah, you really got to take that one slow to not mess these up. My favourite corner. Jesus. I think you can, there's so much grip, I think you can almost put your foot fully down on the brake for the braking zone. Or maybe not, because that one was slightly turning. So I'm saying, you know, a lot of these braking zones, you know, acceleration zones are turning, you know, brake all the way through that one. I was in fourth gear, should have been in third. So I went right wide. I must admit though, I do like this track, I'm enjoying it. I think it's going to be a pretty good race. I know it'll be it'll be pretty much impossible to pass, but if you do get a run on someone down here. So if someone's got a run on me down here, and they're on the inside going into turn one, I'm just going to run wide now and see what the grip's like out on the old outside. So you're going to lose so much time having to run around the outside. But there's more grip on the outside, but it doesn't matter, you're going to lose so much time from running that outside line that you're just going to lose the spot there. So my tip for this week is, no matter what happens behind you, defending the turn one on the right hand side of the track. Which sounds pretty obvious, doesn't it? But it's not. I mean, look at in the Lagos, you know, after the Senna S's, that huge left-hand turn is you're pretty much guaranteed to hold the position if you run around the outside of it. Just do one more lap. And that'll be good for this week. Try and get a PB. Yeah, I'm the power early enough there. Third gear, brake all the way down. This is one of those tracks where if someone offered me a drive in a Lotus 49, I'd turn it down. Yeah, here in Nürburgring, Hamilton Park, the VIR. You know, give it to me at Silverstone. You won't get me out of things, but bloody hell. Yeah, so that's my little guide for this week. Just remember that as well, you know, when you're coming down into this turning at the start of the race, just try not to be 6 inches from the guy in front, because you ain't going to know where he's going to brake, and he might not know where he's going to brake because he has to rely on the person in front of him. So it's always a good move to just get out of the line of the car in front of you in the braking zones on the first lap. You normally make it through to turn 2 if you do that. Anyway, next week I'll do some sort of setup guide. Next week I'll do some sort of setup guide. If I can't actually remember what the track is next week, but if the grip level's normal, there'll be a much better chance to show you what's going on in the car. You can't see anything different when I'm driving it. If I change the setup, it's just impossible to see. I even went from a 35 power ramp to a 75 power ramp, and it just looked like there was no difference whatsoever. It's just because the grip level's so high. Anyway, that's me talking crap again. I'll see you next week, guys.